So it's that. Okay, good. Okay, I will stop the music now. Thank you all for the viewers in Facebook, Clubhouse, and YouTube. Thank you. Welcome to Legislate Media. Please, for those of you who are watching, please start sharing the video. I will yield my microphone back to my colleague, Bolmaku, introduce our guests. Bolmaku, take it away.
Thank you, Ibrahim Adin Majak, for giving me this chance. Our guests, in wherever you are all around the world, I'm greeting y'all in the name of our beloved nation, South Sudan. Today, we are here with the acting spokesperson in the office of the first vice president, Mr. Puok. But before we start, I will give him a chance to briefly introduce himself to the audience who are here with us today, and also other people who are not here, but they will watch the video later on. Would also like to know who is Puok. But Mr. Puok, it is my honor to be here with you today at Lake State Media live. I welcome you very much, and I'm giving you this chance to introduce himself to the nation, to your people. Nas Bitak.
Well, the honor is all mine. It's good to be back, and thank you, Comrade Ball and Comrade Madid, for having me once again on Lake State Media. I personally really appreciate the work that our brothers in the diaspora they are doing, because they are contributing on how to disseminate the message and reflect the political affairs in our country. In brief, my name is Baluang. I'm the Director of Information and Public Relations for the SPLM-IO and the Acting Press Secretary the office of the first Vice President, His Excellency Dr. Riek Machar Tengirkun.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Puok. Uh, I will yield back microphone to Ibrahim Adin Majak so we can start our question one by one. And it will be very brief. It will not that, it will be maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes before we turn it off. So Ibrahim Adin Majak, I give you the floor. So go ahead.
Thank you, Board Marco, and thank you, Comrade Puok. Welcome to Lake State Media again. Yeah, let me start by first question that I would like to ask you. For the last few weeks, we had been follow the politics going on in the country, in South Sudan, and between the SPLM party and SPLM-IO. So we see that we have seen the SPLM party, political bureau, they took decision a couple of weeks ago to dismiss the first vice president, Dr. Riek Machar from the SPLM party. What is the reaction in SPLM-IO? What we want to ask you, what opinion? We see that Dr. Riek Machar was saying that he's still a member of SPLM. So can you tell us what is your position on this? Thank you.
Well, that's a good question. First of all, I would love the people of South Sudan to call a spade a spade. There's a difference between the SPLM party and the SPLM-IG. Allow me to take you back in our history. In the 2013, the SPLM party has split to three factions: the SPLM-IO and the SPLM-IG, the SPLM-FD, currently real SPLM. At the moment, the SPLM party, it is the component of the three factions of the SPLM. And this is based on all the documents that has been signed on how to resolve the conflict in our country. Therefore, no one party or one faction of the SPLM can claim authority of the SPLM party. The current or the recent meeting of the SPLM-IG, it is only represent the SPLM-IG as a faction. There is no SPLM party without the three factions. So we have rejected all the decisions made, or whatever the decision that has been taken by the SPLM-IG, whether it's the National Liberation Council or the Political Bureau, to dismiss His Excellency Dr. Riek Machar from the SPLM party, because they don't represent the SPLM party. They are only a faction to the SPLM, and they are SPLM-IG. So this point we need to point it out, and to people to differentiate. There's an agreement was signed by the three factions of the SPLM, which is Arusha. Arusha was signed by the faction to address the critical point of the political organization of the SPLM party. And it is a platform where the parties or the factions to address whether to reunite the SPLM or to part ways. Until now, this agreement is yet to be implemented. We need to point out also that the Arusha agreement, it is a complementary agreement to the ARCES, because the ARCES addresses the national crisis. Meanwhile, the Arusha addresses the root cause of the conflict within the SPLM, which led to the national crisis. So it's very important to differentiate here. No one can dismiss someone that he or she is not a member. His Excellency Dr. Riek Machar is not a member of the SPLM-IG, so they cannot dismiss him. As simple as that. What happened here in Juba, what's occurred, and all this, they are internal affairs of the SPLM-IG. The those meetings, they don't represent the SPLM as a party. The SPLM, it is the component of the three factions: the SPLM-IO, the SPLM-IG, and the real SPLM, former SPLM, former detainees.
Okay, thank you. We have seen in the media outlet that the SPLM, South Sudanese SPLM faction led by the President Salva Kiir uh, is threatening you guys, SPLIO, to sue you for the for still insisting to maintain the name to be a member of SPLIO, SPLM, while you have on your own party, SPLIO.
Well, is that case is a loose case to the SPLM. We, as an SPLM-IO, we are a constitutional party to the agreement. We are mentioned in the amended constitution, and the SPLM-IO is mentioned also in the revitalized peace agreement. So if they want to sue us in that name, we are ready. But they need to assure that this is a loose case to them. They cannot win that case. We are ready for that. We are SPLM. They are SPLM. They cannot claim authority of SPLM because we all of us are SPLM. So if they want to sue us, we are ready. But
Okay,
we need to point out that we are a constitutional party to the agreement. They cannot sue us unless they want to change the agreement.
okay. So for the we have remained for 24 months left for the election.
Mm.
So will your the SPLM-IO, will you run as SPLM-IO with SPLM party, or will you guys would change the name, the SPLM-IO?
Well, we are SPLM.
Okay,
Yes.
so you are SPLM, so you will not, will call yourself SPLM-IO or SPLM?
Yeah. Legally, we are SPLM. This IO was given to us by the mediators during the negotiation in Addis Ababa when we are discussing how the party was negotiating the revitalized agreement. So it is not our brainchild. We are SPLM.
So what is the difference between SPLM and SPLM-IO? Because I'm confused here. Can you give us what's the difference between SPLM and SPLM-IO?
Okay. The SPLM-IO, it is a faction of
Mm-hmm.
the SPLM party. It's
Okay,
just like the SPLM-IG is a faction of the SPLM party. Until the parties sit down together to operationalize the agreement of Arusha, whether to reunite or to part ways, we will be SPLM until the parties sit down and discuss. So we are SPLM. If the SPLM-IG want to change their name, that's their own decision. But what should we change our name since we are SPLM? And
okay,
this name of opposition, it was given to us by the the mediators of the agreement.
okay. So if you saying that IO is a political party, party or just a faction of SPLM
A
mainstream,
constitutional party.
okay. So what makes you feel like being left out from SPLM extraction when they're doing the extraction?
We are not being left out. We have stated very clear that whatever happened here in Juba by the SPLM-IG, it is their own business as a faction. They cannot restructure the SPLM as a party because they are only faction to the SPLM. No one faction can claim authority of the SPLM. Secondly, according to the constitution of the SPLM, all the elected leaders of the SPLM are elected through the national convention. The national convention will only be conducted after the implementation of the Arusha Agreement, and then the national convention will come after that. The national convention, this is where all the leaders that have been elected, this is where that you give platform that to change or to elect a new leader. His Excellency Dr. Riek Machar, he is an elected first deputy chair of the SPLM. You only can strip him from that right unless through the convention itself. The SPLM-IG, what they have conducted here, it is their meeting. The NLC doesn't have a right to elect, and the PB don't have a right doesn't have a right to elect as well, unless they are using a different constitution, not the SPLM constitution that we know. Therefore, whatever activities they are doing here is illegal according to constitution of the SPLM. This is proof of a point that they are SPLM-IG, they are not SPLM as a party.
Okay, so when the SPLM-IO took to fight with the government, because the SPLM believe that you guys need a change. You believe that the SPLM party, as a party at the time before the war 2013, believe that the SPLM is not doing a job, so you need a change in the system. So when the peace agreement, you guys came in as a partner with the SPLM, with the government of SPLIG. Now it's different systems, SPLIO and SPLIG.
Yes,
So,
you get used to it.
right. So what is, now you claim that you still maintain as a member of SPLM, and the SPLM-IG maintain that we are a mother party. We are SPLIO and SPLM. So SPLIO, so my question to you, what my question to you is like, why don't you guys create your own party and then challenge the SPLM? Why you
Um,
want to maintain the SPLM? Why do you maintain the name of the SPLM instead of SPLIO to create your own, like to create your own party name and then go into election in 2024 or 25 to challenge the SPLM? Thank you.
okay, why should we change our name since we are SPLM? If the SPLM want to change their name, the SPLM-IG want to change their name, that's up to them. But we cannot change our names and leave our party. As simple as that. If they want to challenge us, they need to accept that they are not SPLM. The reasons why the SPLM-IG try to claim authority or to grab the SPLM, because they are not ready to challenge us, because we are the reform wing within the SPLM that was calling for the leadership of the SPLM to come back to the vision of the real SPLM. By then, uh, this is the wing that was calling for addressing all the problems that facing the SPLM before the 2013. This is the wing that they were calling for the SPLM to be transformed. So if the SPLM-IG want to change their name and they mean business that they can go to election, they either accept to sit down with the faction of the SPLM to discuss whether that we can unite the party or we can part ways, with condition that it will be a unilateral decision, bilateral decision from all the parties, not a single decision, a decision from a one single faction of the SPLM. We can. Why should we change our name? We are SPLM.
We couldn't hear him, right?
No.
He muted himself.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, can you hear me? So,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Actually,
so what you are saying, I SPLIO want to abandon SPLIO and rejoin the SPLM party? If not, then why does your chairman complaining about that spelling strikes that they did a couple of weeks ago? So if do you? My question is,
mm,
are you willing to abandon that spelling IO and rejoin that spelling mother party?
well, I need to clarify here because you have been mixing up between the SPLM-IG and the SPLM party.
Yeah, that
So
spelling party, like that spelling IG is a mother party right now. It's a ministry. It's a party that spelling IO break away from it.
no,
So
no, no, no.
so
We did not break away from any party. There was a split within the SPLM to three. The SPLM party at 2013 has split it to three factions: the SPLM-IO, the SPLM-IG, and the SPLM-FD, which is currently the real SPLM. We did not break away, and there's no mother party here. The mother party is the SPLM before 2013. This is the mother SPLM. The other SPLMs are only factions to the mother party, which is SPLM before 2013.
Okay, so what I mean is like the mother party I mean is about the mother party that lead by President General Salva Kiir.
No, that's a
And
faction to the SPLM. That's an SPLM-IG.
so okay, so three are you guys are three factions, which
Yes.
is what I know that SPLM has even four factions. There's the real SPLM, SPLIO, SPLG, and SPLM-DF. SPL like G10. I mean G10. I'm talking about G10.
The G10, it is the real SPLM now. For some of them, they have joined the SPLM-IG, but some of them, they're still in the country. Comrade Pagan, he is or the leader of the real SPLM, which is a faction of the SPLM, because he's a signatory to the Arusha Agreement.
Okay. So what will be? So what is now? You said those three factions of
Mm,
SPLM. So
mm.
are you guys willing to make a unification of one SPLM before the election?
That it's not about unification of the SPLM, but we need to implement the Arusha. The Arusha, because if we manage to implement the agreement, which is the revitalized agreement, the root causes of the conflict, which is the split within the SPLM party, is not being addressed yet. So there's a need for the three factions to sit down and discuss the critical point, the political point that led to the outbreak of the conflict or the outbreak of the war in 2013. Discussing these issues sometimes it's not necessarily to mean to reunite the parties, but what we are saying here, let's all the factions sit down and discuss whether is it possible or not, but it should be a unified decision from all the three factions. If the unification of the SPLM is possible, is well and good, and if not, as well is good, and the other factions can go on and form their political parties, but the decision should be a joint decision, not a bilateral decision from one faction of the SPLM, or not one faction that can claim authority of the SPLM.
Okay. So my next my follow up question regarding about if you saying that the SPLM party is different from SPLIG, who is in charge of SPLM party?
The SPLM parties at the moment, the Arusha Agreement stated that the leadership of SPLM party will remain as they are before 2013 conflict until the implementation of the Arusha Agreement. The chair of the SPLM, it is President. The first deputy chair of the SPLM, it is His Excellency Dr. Riek Machar. The Secretary General of the SPLM party, it is Comrade Pagana Mum.
Okay.
These
So
three leaders now, they are the one leading the three factions of the SPLM. President Salva Kiir is leading the SPLM-IG. His Excellency the First Vice President Dr. Riek Machar is leading the SPLM-IO. Comrade Pagana Mum is leading the real SPLM.
okay. So thank you. So before I move to the, I have other questions for about unified forces and also crisis going on in Upper Nile. Before I move to those questions, let me give this chance to Paku to ask you more questions regarding about the SPLM. Yeah, go ahead, both.
Abraham, but you did very good actually. I was not looking for us to move somewhere. We want to dwell into this because there is a confusion. Young man, before we go to that, I will ask you. There is an election that lingering on the way. I don't know if it will be possible or not. Will you go for election or will you wait for a root cause to be addressed?
Well, before jumping to the election, there's a prerequisite for the election that must be there before discussing this issue of election. Election is a democratic process that gives the people of South Sudan the liberty to elect the parties that they can reflect their needs, the party that can implement the services that they need, and also they can elect the leaders that they can see that can lead this country from the current situation to a better future. If the prerequisites of the election are in place, and here I want to mention some of them: the implementation of Chapter 2, which is the security arrangement. The security arrangement is not only about the graduation and deployment of the unified forces, it is also about creating a conducive environment, creating a civic environment for the people of South Sudan, granting all the right for association, the right of expression. Now we are at the police state as in South Sudan. We need to change all of that. And this is only can be changed through the implementation of Chapter 2. Secondly, we should have a permanent constitution in South Sudan. After that, on top of that, we need to have an election law and form the election commission. Also, we need to have a political party law in place. We must make sure that all our refugees and internal displaced persons return to their homes or their villages. And also, we need to conduct census. You see, all these are very important for elections. We cannot just say if the root causes of the SPLM party is being addressed, then we can go to election. There's another more critical prerequisite and issues
Thank you.
that's needed to convene a fair and credible election in South Sudan. An election that might not take us back against war, because we want this conflict to be the end of the suffering of the people of South Sudan, and we want to utilize it in the right way to end the war in our country and to be the end of the suffering of our nation again.
Thank you, Puok, for answering my question. And this is what caused my jumping. And I'm happy that that jumping brought a very good answers that you have just gave me. You said that during the Arusha agreement, the SPLM-IO is standing alone, SPLM-IG is standing alone, and you could not agree to be dismissed because you guys are not united due to the problem what start the war is not being addressed, and that what caused my jumping, to ask that question, okay? Because it was just something that I don't understand. If this root cause is not yet being resolved, to bring IG and IO together as to be in one party, and then probably it will go down to look at the position of the vices. So if this situation is still hanging, so I don't know what you will do when the election is coming. Anyway, let's keep that aside, since it is a jumping question. Let me bring you another phase. Okay, before SPLM-IG and SPLM-IO split, according to you, what was there?
There was the SPLM party.
Was SPLM party.
Yes.
But let's come to the definition. If we talked about the IO to mean in opposition, right?
Yes.
Something in opposition is not something together. It is something went away, left, right?
It depends on your interpretation to this one, and depends on also on your dictionary. In the opposition, that means you're opposing something. You see, and also I've stated earlier on that this IO, it was given to us by the mediators in Addis Ababa during the talk. The same that it is to differentiate between the SPLMs, because when we reach Addis Ababa to discuss for the talks of the agreement, all of us we were SPLM. Literally, we were SPLM. Those come from Juba, they are SPLM. Yes. Those our group were SPLM. Those of Pagan and his friends, They were SPLM. You see, so the mediation came with this name to differentiate between those parties. Those who were in Juba, the group of President Salva, they was given the name of in government, because in that time they were an incumbent government, and we are given the opposition. This IG was given to us, so it is not our brainchild.
Young man, why would you accept something that is not your franchise? And also, did you consult the
I
SPLM-IG?
say brainchild, not franchise.
Okay, why would you accept something that you are not abiding to? Why
Because
would
we
you
are
accept?
no, literally we were opposition in that time. Yes.
Yes. So, but young man, look, if you were opposition, I'm not
I
trying to defend the SPLA.
I
I'm
would
not
prefer
trying
you.
to defend.
No,
I'm
no,
not
no,
trying to defend. I'm
no,
not.
no. I prefer that you address to me formally.
Okay, that's a good reminder. Thank you,
Yeah.
Mr. Paul. It's a good reminder. I appreciate that. When you were given this name,
Yes.
Mr. Paul, why did you accept
Because
to be
we
called
were.
with a name that you don't want?
It's not about we don't want. We were in opposition. We know
Then if
there's
you
a
were in opposition, then you know that something which is opposition is not a government. You know that IG means standing for in a government. It means
yes.
you are opposition, you left that party.
No, 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 no. We didn't left the party. There was a split within the party, and we were well aware that the time will come to address the root causes of the split within the SPLM. This is where that now we accept that name.
Okay.
Yes.
So,
And no,
okay.
the same question goes to you. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Why do the SPLM-IG accept that name, that to be called, to put the IG next to their name, and now they're claiming that to be only SPLM, they are not SPLM-IG. So
I would,
we know
if they
that
have accept.
the time will come for those factions to discuss the root causes of the reason of the split within SPLM. So it's to us giving that IG thing attached to our name. It was not a big deal.
Okay. Then
Yes.
your answer,
Mm-hmm.
I will answer your question this way. If that question comes to me, then I will answer this way. I would like to invite one of the government to come and ask, did they accept the SPLM in the government or not? Also, I'm not arguing here to defend the government anyway. I will leave it there because it might seem like I'm something.
I
So,
have
so
the Arusha agreement here with me. They have signed under the name SPLM-IG. President Salva Kiir signed that agreement,
and
and
then
he signed on
President,
behalf of one faction, which is the
but
SPLM-IG.
but
So
Mr.
how
Pope,
can they
Mr. Pope,
run out from
but
that one?
But Mr. Pog, you need to understand IG meaning government. It means it is the government. So if it is the government, then they still the holders of the SPLM, which is the previous mother. You can even see. Anyway, let's leave that one there. Are you registered?
At the moment, there's
Yes.
no legal party in South Sudan.
No,
All the
no.
parties that are illegal in South Sudan, until the political parties act passed by the parliament and signed by the president, and the parties registered based on the new law. This is whether we can say there are a legal political parties in South Sudan. But at the moment, all of them, they are a constitutional parties, signatories to that.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Pog. Uh, since you said that you guys are still SPLM, uh, why were you guys claiming for the share during the Arusha agreement and during the Addis Ababa talk? Why were you guys claiming for the chair? Because you guys are one party. Why were you demanding for the sharing of power? How would one party share power?
Okay. First of all, let me clarify something. In Addis Ababa, no one discussed and claimed to be chair of the SPLM. The SPLM affairs were not discussed in Addis Ababa at all. We need to state this very clearly. Okay. Secondly, in Arusha, no one discussed anything about power sharing. They were only a political affairs concerning the SPLM party. Even the other political parties and movements, they were part of the agreement or part of the talks at that time. They were not included in this one. So what happened in Addis Ababa? It was the another face of the coin for Arusha. Arusha discussed the issues that led to the conflict within the SPLM, and the ARCS discussed the issues how to resolve the national crisis and how also to resolve all the problems that facing South Sudan and all the reform agendas that was inserted in the ARCS. It is only to discuss the political or the national crisis in South Sudan. As you can see, even within the chapters, chapter 1 discussed about how to govern South Sudan, which is the governance chapter. Chapter 2 discuss how to reform the security sectors, which is the security arrangement. Chapter 3 and chapter 4 discuss all these various things, how to reform the economic sector, and also how we can address the issue of the humanitarian crisis in the country and the judicial system and so on and so forth. You see, so let's not mix things here. Arusha discussed the internal affairs of the SPLM party from all for the three factions, and the Axis discussed issues, how to transform the country and how to resolve the national issues, including other political parties that were not part of the SPLM at that time. We have SOA, we have the Umbrella, we have the OVP, and so on and so forth. So they are totally different, but they complete each other. They complete each other. One addressed the root cause of the conflict within SPLM, and the other one discussed how to resolve the national crisis in the country.
Thank you, Puok. I'm very happy with those answers because I'm not here to judge you anyway. I will leave it there. If we make it easy for you, if we come in and we make it easy for you, this is just an example, for instance, and said, okay, Mr. Puok, you and our vice president, I call him our vice president because I believe right now you guys are in the country. I don't see our vice president. Yeah. So if we said, okay, first vice president, we invited you to the SPLM. Mr. His Excellency Kir Mayadit, we invited you to the SPLM. Will you abandon the SPLM-IO, I mean?
Yeah, who invited them to the SPLM? That's the question.
I give you example. Let's say I came in as an international community.
Yeah, let's give it a realistic example, because they are the chair and they are the first deputy chair of the SPLM. Who will invite them? They are the one who inviting people.
Okay, what about if those mediators who mediate you guys in Arusha and if they comes in and said, okay, election is approaching, this is the decision. Okay, Mr. Yagmachar, come to the SPLM. Since you guys are pulling ropes between the SPLM, who should be in the SPLM and who should not. So you guys, we invited you all to the SPLM.
You will invite them to discuss the implementation of Arusha. This is what you mean, right?
Okay. Yes. What about if we discuss the implementation of Arusha?
Yeah, we're open to sit down and discuss the implementation of the Arusha, whether we can unite the party or whether we can part ways and form our different or separate political parties.
Okay.
We are open.
So,
yes.
So, and another question is, so now, since we have talked a lot about this, we will shift the we will shift the topic to other things. I don't hear our vice president talking about the issues going on. What's wrong?
Which vice president? We have 4 vice presidents in the country.
Well, our first vice president,
the first vice president.
It is a sequence, it is a sequence. So when I talk about our first vice president, then it is His Excellency D.R. Yagmachar. So I never heard him coming out and condemn or what. What's going on?
I didn't hear your question. Can you repeat that?
Okay, I said there are things going on in the nation, okay?
Yes.
But I never see him coming out either to support.
Can you be specific?
For instance, there is just a fight recently in Upper Nile. What did he say? Can you tell us about his views?
Okay, that's another good question. Uh, what's happening in Upper Nile and part of Jonglei State? It is very unfortunate that people of South Sudan to lose their lives during the time of peace. But if we try to narrate what's happening in South in Jonglei, in part of Jonglei and in Upper Nile, we condemn it in the strongest terms possible. And this is not only the position of His Excellency Dr. Riek Machar, but the position of the SPLM-IO in general. Uh, the uh, the issue of Upper Nile or the renewed conflict in Upper Nile occurred to the so-called Kidguang faction, the one for General Uloin and the one for General Garwij Dual. The two generals, they were members of the SPLM-IO, but appointed and nominated to various positions. General Uloin was nominated to hold the position of governor of Upper Nile. General Garwij was nominated to be an advisor in South Sudan from the ticket of the SPLM-IO. But President Salva himself, for almost 9 months, he has refused to appoint them. And even though it was our right as an SPLM-IO to nominate based on the agreement, but the president rescinded to appointing them in a clear violation to Chapter 1 of the agreement, which is the governance. So President Salva himself, when these two generals break away, he strike a deal with them to join the SPLMI, and they were being used uh, for a proxy war against our forces in the northern, in the southern part of Upper Nile, in the area called Kitgwang. Later on, these generals split themselves to two factions and start fighting among themselves. Um, in various meetings for the presidency, His Excellency Victoria Machar urges President Salva Kiir to expedite the implementation of the agreement with the SSPDF stroke SPLM-IG with those of Kitgwang. The agreement was signed in Khartoum because General Garwij has their own agreement and the Agwelek forces, Agwelek group, they have their own agreement. This agreement yet to be implemented. This is one of the aspects that renewed the conflict in the country. When these two generals differ themselves, they start fighting themselves. Um, but coming to the reason fighting in part of Upper Nile, forces of General Uloin, they were in the north, they were in the south part of Upper Nile. They have some barges that armor barges in the river, and the SSPDF decided to escort them to where they are at the moment. When they were asked, they said, no, we are taking them to the cantonment site. And later on, this is the same forces that started to attack our forces in our headquarters in DL, in Jongle, in the Greater Pangak. And this is what results to the involvement in other elements. Now there's a youth are involved with their special leader, and this used as a component of Nuer tribe and also from Dinka Atar because of PG of PG County in Jongle. These youth are involved in the conflict based on the cattle was raided by forces of Agwelek of General Johnson Oloi. So this is all started with the national security escorting General Oloñ with his forces to the northern part of Upper Nile. Those forces start shelling and attacking the armed youth in the area. So I would like to state it very clear that we as an SPLM-IO, we have no any part in the conflict that is taking place or occurred that killed hundreds of people and displaced the same amount of the people in Upper Nile, and we discourage this kind of tribal conflict in Upper Nile. Upper Nile, it is part of South Sudan that deserves stability. Upper Nile has faced a lot of challenges, and the people of Upper Nile also has went through difficulties through the war. They need stability, they need peace, and they need services to be delivered to them. So our position as the SPLM-IO, we condemn all this violence happening in Upper Nile and also happening in all across South Sudan, whether it is intercommunal fighting or it is a trouble fighting, and also we urge the SPLM-IG to refrain of incentivizing defection, whether from the SPLM-IO or from other parties, and use them against the other significant parties to the agreement for a proxy war. The same war that now occurred in Joko, in the western part of, uh, of, of South Sudan with the borders of Ethiopia. So these all are conflicts that are unnecessary at the moment. We have signed the agreement. The parties to the agreement must adhere to the agreement of cessation of hostility and to adhere to implement the agreement in letter and spirit and embark on the ways to bring peace, lasting peace in this country.
Thank you, Puok, for briefly answering my question. Before I yield it to Abraham Adin Majak, uh, I heard you saying that you still have forces, right?
Yes, we still have hope.
Uh, were they? I thought all the forces, IO forces, and the SPLM forces were integrated. I thought they were already integrated. So tell me from here, why do you still have forces? I thought all the forces are under President Salva Kiir Mayardit. Are you still commanding? Is first vice president still commanding some forces by now?
According to the agreement, His Excellency Victoria Machar will remain the chairman and commander-in-chief of the SPLM-IO until the completion of the unification of the graduation of the unification of the unified forces. Sorry.
So,
Um,
so,
now let me
so,
finish. Let me finish. Now the forces that has been graduated, they're only phase one. In the agreement, in the necessary unified forces, the number that was estimated to be 85,000. The number that has been graduated now, they are 52,000 from all the parties signatories to the agreement, the SPLA-IO, the SSPDF, and SOA forces. We still have phase two that's coming. We might increase the number to phase three. So the largest number now will be in phase two. The forces that the forces that has been graduated recently, which is the unified forces, they are the forces under the leadership of under command of President Salva Kiir as the supreme command of the SSPDF and organized forces, followed or deputized by His Excellency Victoria Machar. But, however, the other forces that has not been graduated yet, whether from the SSPDF or the SPLM-IO or SOA, they are still under the command of their leaders, of their commanders. The SPLM-IO, SPLA-IO forces, the one that are not graduated yet, or they are not yet in the cantonment side, they are still under command of His Excellency Victoria Machar, and the same thing that goes to the other factions. This is according to the agreement.
okay, but the agreement said that everybody should be in the containment. Why are they outside?
as I mentioned earlier, they have agreed on figures to go to the cantonment. We cannot take all the forces to the cantonment. The SSPDF, they must, some of them, they remain in the barracks, some of them, they remain in the borders to protect the sovereignty of the country. The SPLA-IO, they are still in our position because we also control some areas in South Sudan, and we need to protect the sovereignty of the country and our borders. This is what's agreed by the parties, that there will be numbers, they will be taken by phases, group that will be taken to some of them to cantonment, to assembly area first, to assemble them, to scrutinize them. Those who's going to the cantonment side will go. Those who are eligible to join the army, we will be taken to DDR, and after that they will be taken to the training centers where all these forces will be unified there and trained with a different political, different military ideology, and then later on will be graduated as a unified forces of South Sudan. The objective will be to protect the country and our borders, and to respect our constitution.
Thank you, Honorable Fox, for the wonderful discussion and said Ball is fallout for his network. He will be back. Let me follow up question regarding about what's going on in Upper Nile between Kitwang faction, Gwilek, White Army, and Simon Garage. We've seen the crisis going on. Innocent civilians are dying in Shulugland. And this is very unfortunate to see that this killing is still going on. So why the first Vice President, His Excellency Dr. Yamashar, don't condemn the killing going on in Chuluk Kingdom?
We have condemned that several times. The killing happening in Upper Nile, the Jonglei State, and the other conflict in South Sudan, the one in between the Ngok, Dinka, and the conflict of Abyei, and the other conflict in South Sudan. We have condemned that in as strong as possible, and we this initiative of sending the unified troops to act as a buffer between for the conflict within Abyei and Warab, it was coming from His Excellency Dr. Machar, and the presidency has accepted it, and the president directed based on his capacity as the commander of the unified forces to deploy all those forces. The same thing that's happening now in Upper Nile, that the forces, the unified forces that have been graduated in Upper Nile, they will be deployed in the hottest area so that they can maintain calm and peace in the area. We have condemned it in the strongest terms possible as the office of the first vice president and the chairman of the SPLM-IO and the entire movement.
So the Shulu community, diaspora or back home, they are blaming Dr. Yang Machar as a part of the problem right now. Is that true?
Yeah, would you elaborate how he is a problem in the area? Since the forces that are fighting there, they're under command and they have signed an agreement with President Salva. They should blame President Salva because he did not implement the agreement that signed between the Kitgwang and also the Agwelek forces.
Okay, the White Army are the one who are fighting right now in Shulu Kingdom, and we see a number of deaths. They're civilian actually. So who is?
They're civilians. They're armed youth.
Yeah,
they are not under command of the SPLM-IO. So they are following that leader, their special leader.
Who command them? The White Army.
There's a special leader that's commanding them, because they're composed of two subsections of Nuer and also from Dinka people. So they're not under command of the SPLM-IO. However, there's an initiative that has been made by His Excellency Dr. Machar to send a delegation to discuss with those armed youth as his responsibility towards the people of Upper Nile to resolve the conflict and to diffuse the tense that is taking place at the moment. He has sent a group to discuss with the special leader, and also we are engaging with our partners, whether the UN and the other partners to South Sudan, on how we can stop of this senseless war that's taking place at the moment in part of Jonglei and part of Upper Nile.
Okay, so what is will be the solution to bring peace bring peace in Upper Nile?
The solution to bring peace in Upper Nile, President Salva Kiir has to call his partners in the agreement, which is the Agwelek and also the Kidguang to Juba, and also to assemble their forces, and also to give them orders to urge from attacking the civilians and also attacking the SPLM, SPLM-IO positions all over that area of Upper Nile and Jonglei. So he has to put a leash to his new alliance because he has signed an agreement with them, and I believe some of them they're acting in that manner because the president and his group uh, they are dragging their feet to implement that agreement.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Paul. And also, on behalf, I would like to apologize on behalf of my colleague. So we need to be respectful because you are acting the spokesperson of Vice President of Dr. Machar. So we have to give you that is your title. We have to call you your title. So I apologize for that. So
You
uh,
guys are persecuting me, huh? I'm here.
so yeah, so
I
that is
I didn't mean to disrespect, but I said gentlemen. So
Say,
I
young man,
mean to say gentlemen.
that's all right.
let so let us let's go back. Yes. So for this is the way we talk. Because my next question regarding about because you guys covered it up about the unified forces. So these unified forces, the SPLM-IO and the IG, they will work to deploy their forces. Is it they will come from your? You said that you still having a forces. Is it the
Yeah.
unified? The forces will be deployed in Upper Nile. Will come from SPLM-IO or from the SPLA from the unified forces.
Well, once the forces, the unified forces, being graduated, they no longer have a political affiliation or ties with their previous political party. There will be a unified forces of South Sudan. So this the forces that the president has instructed first to be deployed between RBA and Warab, and the forces that will be deployed in Upper Nile, there will be a unified force, not the forces of the SPLM-IO or the SSPDF or so on, because they are unified forces. They have one objective: to protect to bring peace and stability and to protect our country and our borders and our sovereignty. So there will be a unified forces. There will not be any forces from the parties to that.
And who is the commander in chief of that unified forces?
The commander in chief of the unified forces is President Salva Kiir Mayar, and deputized by His
Okay.
Excellency Dr. Riek Machar.
Okay. Thank you. Go ahead, Abra.
Okay, at this time, Ball, if you don't have more questions, I will open the channel. Mostly we give audio on the channel to ask questions. So in Facebook, if you want to ask Honorable Prop the question, please write your question in the comment section and I'll pull it up on the screen. And for those of you in Clubhouse, I will open the hand raise. So, and then come up. Before that, I will give only 2 people in Clubhouse and 3 people in Facebook. And then
My,
we'll call it a day. So, but
my, I will ask Mr. Polk a question about the mistreatment of journalists in South Sudan, and also I would like to ask him how many times do your parties meet to talk about issues of the nation, and do you guys allow different press, media to cover all the events? And why do we have a hard time in both side of the IG and the government. What is your say about this?
Well, one of the main objectives for us to insist the implementation of the agreement, particularly Chapter 2, it is to have or to create a civic environment and also the freedom of expression. We have our own members that were victimized because of freedom of expression, and my comrade James Gadet was abducted from Nairobi and brought here to Juba, and he stayed in the Blue House. He was kept in the Blue House for almost 2 years based on this. And we have a lot of South Sudanese writers or media personnel and journalists, whether has been detained, killed, tortured, and so on and so forth. We at the SPLM-IO, we are spearheading the campaign for opening the political space, whereby any person of South Sudan or all the people of South Sudan, they have the right to express their right and they have their own opinion uh, with the line of the law. So we believe this is very important to open up a space, civic space, and political space, and we have all the rights that is granted to the people of South Sudan as human beings, the right of expression, the right of association, so on and so forth. So this is very important and critical, and we are leading the campaign for this issue. Regarding the meeting of the SPLM, we usually because we have our organs, the National Liberation Council usually meet once in the year, and the political party used to meet regularly here in Juba in our headquarters in the General Secretariat. We discuss matters of the national matters that concerning the people of South Sudan and how we can overcome the challenges, and we will come up with a way forward to address all the conflict, all the hardships facing the people of South Sudan. Despite all the challenges that we have been facing as an SPLM-IO since um, uh, we as an SPLM-IO, we almost have opened and launched our state secretariat in nine states uh, until now. However, we have been facing challenges. The SPLM IG used to try or actually to disturb our affairs and detaining our members, despite that some of them they holding a constitutional post holding and also torturing them and creating obstacles to uh, uh, for our affairs or for our programs not taking place. But despite all these challenges, the SPLM-IO is moving forward. So we believe all these challenges was created based on fear of the SPLM-IO reaching to the people and enlightening them on their rights and enlightening about the political situation. And also, there's some people that they have ill-fated intention not to disseminate the agreement to our people. So also, this campaign we are spearheading as the SPLM-IO. We are open to welcome the media to, uh, to attend our functions, those that meant for the public. And I think my brother Madid can attest to that because Lake State Media was invited and attended our fourth National Liberation Council that was conducted here in Juba.
Thank you, Mr. Puok. Yes, we were summoned to go cover certain events in your area, which I was very happy because we want to bring, matters to Junubin. Chub Kalamde. Lekin, we have a little bit hard time about the devices. We were we were kicked back because we were using iPad and the cell phone. You know, the world now is advanced, you know, but the very minimum person might think that, hey, it's supposed to be only the camera, and iPhone will cause insecurity, iPad will cause insecurity. That one should be actually, you guys should have come to and looked at
Um,
it, you know,
I'm
because
I'm a jour-
we want to
I'm a
use
journalist. I'm a journalist
iPad.
by I'm a journalist by profession, and I know people
Okay,
now are going digitalized. So there, no any incident was brought to my attention that there was someone who was stopped from using an iPhone or an iPad to cover any event. We only just do the normal security check. After that, we allow them. And I have a very professional team that we are working together to whether to arrange for functions for the party or conferences. So there's no such incident was brought to my attention, and all my team, they are professional. Some of them they were working for very known media houses, whether in the region or internally or worldwide. So we know the people, the use of the phone,
thank you.
and at the moment I'm using my phone now for everything.
Thank you, Spoke. Yes, Madida will attest to that. Yes, we were told not to cover that event because of the cell phone. But right now we have upgraded to iPad, which is very good. We would like you to work with you so you can, you know, permit
My
our
office is
team,
open. My
yes,
office is
to come
open.
there and cover not
Yes,
only on the side of SPLM in IO, both, you know. We want to serve
I
Junubin
only can
equally.
speak on behalf of the SPLM-IO.
No, I know. We want to serve Junubin equally. Like you are here, we are not treating you as SPLM in opposition or the question we're asking, we can also grill anybody from SPLM in government because there is no any legit government, you know. There's no any legit government. There are mistakes everywhere. So, and we want to bring those to Junubin attention. I appreciate you for coming to Lake State Media, and we will be looking forward next time to work with you. Hey man, don't
So
go, don't throw me in the blue house when I go to Juba because I call you young man.
we don't entertain such things, and this is one of the reasons that we were in the bush to change such mentality. We don't threaten people, and to be sincere with you, I don't know where the brew house is.
That's a joke. I will. I will
Yeah,
give. I'll
yeah.
give a ground. I'll give a ground to Abraham Madid. There are some. You know, Junubin. Really, they really would like to know many things. There are people there in our clubhouse, and some are also here with us on our comment section. I will allow my buddy Madid to, you know, bring them up. Thank you, Abraham.
Okay,
And
thank
thank
you.
you, Mr. Polk.
Thank you, Marco. Thank you, Honorable, for the wonderful discussion. That's a very good question for the media thing. So it's good, and I see the letter written by the president of media journalists, Mr. Uyut Patrick. So he sent out the letter to authority, and I hope they will take action on that. Okay, but this time now we will give the floor to the audience in Clubhouse, and I have Wilson and
Sorry, Abraham. There is something you brought up on the screen, and we saw it,
I will
and
bring
it
it.
disappeared.
I will bring
About
those. Yeah,
about Linda,
I will bring those questions.
Linda,
Yeah,
Linda Parek.
yeah, I pin them down. I'll bring those questions up on the screen after the clubhouse. So Wilson, if you can hear my voice, you can go ahead now and ask your question.
All right. Thank you, Madid, for inviting me, and thanks for the great job you guys did to bring one of the acting spokesmen from by President Riek Machar. Because this guy, they have been an outreach. Nobody reached But today you are one of the insiders. You are in the social media and you are talking with South Sudanese. Can you tell to South Sudanese whether this is true or not? If your vice president is under house arrest, that's one question. The second question is the media outlet, especially in the Facebook. A lot of media are claiming to speak on behalf of SPLM. Specifically, two of them are in Khartoum. One is called North International Radio, and the other one is Nuer Male. And there are some here in the United States. They really are saying a lot of bad words. I don't know whether your office is aware of this group. If not, if you are aware, don't you see that these people are really damaging the image of the party through social media and a lot of incitement? Even the current war in Africa, they are claiming that it is your party called IO are the one conducting the war. They will clear the Shiluk land and they will all occupy this. As part of the were talking, another good example, the unified post, the forces, 750,000. They are claiming that these are all sons of the Nuer from the IO. They are going taken to Congo so they can clear the way for our leader if anything happens in the country. I think as they know they are going to prevent the way if anything happens in Cuba so the image I cannot take. So are your office aware of those social media claiming to be from the SPLM-IO? So these are my two questions. Thank you. I will stop here.
Thank you. Thank you, Wilson. So go ahead, Honorable Prof, to answer those two questions.
First, I would like to thank Comrade Wilson for the great question. The status of His Excellency Dr. Masa. Our chairman was under unlawful house confinement in Addis Ababa, sorry, in Pretoria, South Africa. But he is now free, a free man. He's not under house arrest. He can move freely uh, in the country. However, I would like to point out something here. Based on the agreement, President Salva Kiir he is the president of the country. There are some occasions that His Excellency Dr. Matar has been invited, whether within the region, to attend some functions, but there's some delays sometimes occurred from the president's side to grant him uh, a leave or to grant him to visit or to attend those functions based on his capacity as the president, because we are government now and we respect the government, the institution of the government. This is might be the only challenge that facing His Excellency Dr. Prasad. It's not that he's under house arrest, but sometimes there's a delayment, and we believe it is a tactical move to not allow him to engage with the other institutions or the other countries that might give him a political uh, momentum. That I might put it that way. But he's a free man, and he can move freely in the country, and he's not under house arrest. Regarding the other question about social media platform, um, I would like to stress here that social media it is part of the formal media, the newspapers and so on. So they are playing a critical role. However, there's no any thing in the world that doesn't have a side or a dark side. There's some people that misusing the social media uh, from our South Sudanese fellows to uh, to display hate speech or so on and so forth. we are aware of all of this. But I would like to assure Comrade Wilson and our listeners and viewers that we have only one platform that represents the office of first vice president on Facebook, and we have only one page that represents the SPLM-IO as a party on Facebook. Uh, we would like also to bring to attention to the public that we have no connection with other platforms or the media or pages, whether Twitter, Clubhouse, or Facebook, that using the name of the SPLM-IO or the first vice president, we have assigned a spokesperson that that are here in the party. Comrade Jacqueline Gaza, the deputy chair of the National Committee for Information. She is the acting spokesperson of the SPLM, and I'm acting in the office of first vice president. We are the people that assigned officially to this to talk on behalf of the SPLM-IO. So we like to distance ourselves from anyone that would claim that he's representing the SPLM-IO or representing the mission or the political message of the SPLM-IO.
Thank you, Honorable Paul. That is, I think you answered this question. Let me move to, I see a lot of people want to ask many questions, which is, I will not allow that. So let me turn this to Manon. Manon, please go ahead with your question and make it short.
Thank you. Thank you. Do you hear me,
Yes. Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, and thanks for the Lake Media. And also thanks to the audience that are actually listening down there. And our guest, Honorable Puok, the acting spokesperson in the office of the first vice president. We really appreciate his time here to be with us and answer some questions. My name is Manan Jogalo. I'm the SPLM interim chair in the U.S. SPLM party. My question to Honorable Puok. We have seen the violence that is increasing in the Upper Nile regions and devastated displacement of many people. And some people are still, even some our citizens are still in POC in Malakal, even in Juba. And when we look those violence, reference to some of generals or some military group that actually before they were part of the IO, such as Getwich and Group and Johnson Willing Group and many others within the regions, even including the White Army. Historically, is known also associated with IO. And my question here is, what actually the perspective in terms of the IO part of national unity government providing the solution to the current violence and displacement and killing civilian in the area. And if you look those army or those militias, they were part of IO. Can IO use their average, their actually experience within the region and their association with those militias to bring the lasting peace within the region of Upper Nile? This is one question. Second question is related to the current decision within the SPLM October 20, which is actually removal of Dr. Riek Machar as a member of the SPLM and also the Bagana Mom. And the article that was cited within the SPLM Constitution was Article 10, that actually Dr. Riek also is active already with a different party, which is the IO. And also Bagana Mom is active with the SPLM, and they are no longer member of the SPLM because they associate themselves with different political activities. And reference to that, we have seen recently the IO early in the year, we called a conference within the Cuba, and at their conference, and they already established their institution in different states, their offices, including the Cuba, which is they have a secretariat, which is actually representing the political wing within the IO. Well, we have seen also in the office of vice president complaining that his removal is illegal. How that going to be illegal? And already you have launching, opening ground offices in northern Baragazal, in different states, and you are active as a political party entity, independent entity. And an Arusha agreement actually is already being implemented due to some of the 10 members and even a group of Tabans, they already rejoined the SPLM based on Arusha agreements that actually was signed in 2015 early. But still, there is a complaint. I mean, confusion a little bit. South Sudanese are confused. Is IO is still a member of the IO in the SPLM party, or the IO is a different entity, independent political party? What actually should proceed and could organize themselves? Is the question. The third one, the agreement, the RCs. The RCs in early graduation of unified force. The report that came out was actually that 27% was implemented, and around 37 is progressive. After graduation of force in Juba, in Equatorial regions, in Upper Nile also, there's some graduation, in Barkazal also, there's some graduation. How far, how you can estimate the percentage of implementation of ARCIS from your perspective? Because it has been now almost 3 months or more than 2 months when the report came out that 37 is progressing, 37%, and then 27% is implemented. So can you give us the percentage of how the ARCIS agreement is progressing? And thank you. Appreciate your listening.
Thank you, Comrade Manon. Honorable Puok, go ahead to answer those questions.
Okay, thank you, Comrade Manam, for your questions. Regarding the first question about the violence in Upper Nile, it's good that this question comes from a member of SPLM-IO. Before the two defectors, General Gadwich and General Olay, were a member of the SPLM-IO, there were no any conflict in the area, despite the implementation of the peace agreement. It was only during the conflict where the parties did not sign or they implement the peace agreement. This is where there was some conflict taking place in that area. So it's a clear indication that after their defection and sign an agreement with the SPLM-IG stroke SSPDF, this is where that now the conflict started. This would indicate that we have no any link to that. But morally, we have a responsibility to engage with all the parties involved in that conflict and to bring stability and to end this senseless conflict in Upper Nile and the other part of Jonglei. According to the law, the two generals, they are members of the SSPDF and SPLM-IG because they have signed an agreement with the SPLM, because when they are defected from us, they have been used for a proxy war to attack the SPLM-IO forces and positions along the river of Jonglei State and Upper Nile State. But we are trying our level best to bring together and all the factors involved in this issue. But as an SPLM-IO, we are not involved in the conflict. It is the armed youth. They are not member of the SPLM-IO, which is led by the special leader, as I mentioned, and the forces of Kitwang, the two factions of Kitwang, they are fighting each other. It should be a collective initiative from the revitalized government to end the war. And I would like to commend the decision of the presidency to deploy the recently graduated unified forces in Upper Nile to ensure that no conflict and the displaced person to return their houses and their homes and their villages in Upper Nile. What he terms as a militias, yes, they're formerly members of the SPLM, SPLA-IO, but currently they are part of the SPLM IG stroke SSPDF because they have struck a deal with them. It should be your party to expedite or to double up their efforts to discuss with them to implement the peace agreement because the other parties, we as the other parties signatories to the agreement, we will see that this war and all these violations are from the part of the SSPDF because these two generals, they are members or they have signed a deal with the SPLM-IG and SSPDF. Regarding the removal of Dr. Machar or the decision made by the recommendation made by the SPLM-IG political bureau on 20th October, you cannot remove or dismiss someone who is not your member. The SPLM-IG, they can represent or claim authority of the SPLM as a party. As I mentioned earlier, that the SPLM party, it is the component of the three factions, the SPLM-IG, the SPLM-IO, and the real SPLM. The decision of any faction of the SPLM cannot be a decision of the SPLM party. This is where that we have rejected this unlawful decision from the SPLM-IG to dismiss leaders of the SPLM since they are not member of their faction. There's a huge difference between the SPLM-IG and the SPLM party. So the recent meeting, this is internal business of the SPLM-IG. At the same, we as an SPLM-IO, we've been conducting meeting for the National Liberation Council here. We have structured our own faction as a party, and using the same energy that was used by the SPLM. What will be the reaction of the SPLM-IG if the political party, the political bureau or the National Liberation Council of the SPLM-IO sat down and come up with the same controversial decision to remove President Salva Kiir from the leadership of the SPLM party? Will they accept that? Regarding the issue of that Dr. Riek has associated himself with the party, President Salva Kiir also is associating himself with the party, with the faction. We see in the SPLM-IG, he does using the same formula that President Salva Kiir can be removed from the SPLM party as well. And I would like to stress here that the SPLM party, it is the SPLM for the split of December 2013. And the Arusha Agreement remain unimplemented. Comrade Tabandeng, he don't represent the SPLM. If not, the IGAD and the presidential group would not sit down with His Excellency Dr. Riek Machar to discuss in Addis Ababa on ways how to revitalize the agreement. They would have remained with Taban, since if they only recognize Taban as a representation of the SPLM-IO, but accepting to sit down with the SPLM-IO led by His Excellency Dr. Riek Machar, is a clear indication that Tabandeng don't represent the IO. Also, I believe Comrade Pagan is the chair of the real SPLM former detainees and currently the real SPLM. He is a signatory to Arusha Agreement, and they are here. I would like to also to refute this information that Arusha has been implemented, and uh, this is the reason why we have been talking and try to enlighten the public that the decision taken by the SPLM-IG on the 20th October, which is a violation to Arusha Agreement. The percentage of the implementation of the peace agreement, I would like to be frank here. The delayment of the implementation of the agreement and missing the time frame of implementing many chapters and provisions of the SPLM-IO is very alarming and concern to us as an SPLM-IO. And the reasons behind all this delayment, I can summarize them maybe in 2 or 3 points. One is the lack of political will from our partners in the agreement, particularly the SPLM-IG, because they have been selective about the implementation of the agreement. They will choose what to implement and not. As we speak, we still didn't fully implement Chapter 1, which is the governance. The independent institutions and commission has not been formed or reconstituted yet. We don't have representatives in the 3 administrative areas, despite that they are part of South Sudan. And the agreement says we should have 27% of all the power sharing in the country. This has not been implemented in that administrative areas. So this is the delayment and the lack of the political will to implement the peace agreement. Secondly, it is the issue of funding. President Salva Kiir is the pen holder. He's the one that can sign which money that can be used to implement the peace agreement or not. So also he can get his share of blame on this issue, and also I can say the absence of the monitoring bodies to supervise the implementation of the peace agreement. This is some of the reasons why the implementation of the peace agreement is not going smoothly or as expected. My position regarding the percentage will remain the same. It is maybe 70% or less that is yet to be implemented or in process. 30 maybe is being implemented because the Chapter 1 is not completed yet. Chapter 2, which is the security arrangement, also the unification of forces, yes, that was done, but the deployment of forces is yet to happen. Plus the agreement on the second echelon of the unified forces, because the one that was agreed or appointed, they were the first echelon, the directors and the deputy CDF and the assistant for the IGP of police and directors of national security and so on and so forth. But the second echelon is yet to be agreed, and there was a delayment here. We have been, our teams have been engaging the SPLM IG site to sit down because in the roadmap there was a time frame to discuss all these issues and to agree upon all of them. But I think our calls tend to deaf ears. But we will still knocking on this issue so that we can make sure before the end of the new extension of the transitional period, which is the 24 months, all these critical issues that can be tackled and be implemented. So I think I've covered all your questions that that was raised by Comrade I think Manon, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Manon, yes, yes.
Yeah.
So thank you, Honorable Prop. Yeah, I think you answered all these questions. I have. So, guys, for those of you, I know I'm running out of time, so I will give only 10 minutes remain, and then we close the room, and I will let my guests go because it's getting late over there. There's two people in Clubhouse. I will give you guys just let me pull this question up from the Facebook. Honorable Puok is coming from Linda Preg. Linda Preg is asking you, seen Dr. Riak Machar, I think RBM is Dr. Riak Machar, is no longer a member of SPLM. Will Dr. Riak Machar change the SPLM-IO name, or will Dr. Riak Machar rejoin the SPLM near future?
To answer that question, the first part, Dr. Riek Machar is still member of SPLM. Changing the name of the SPLM-IO is unlikely to happen because we are SPLM. As I mentioned in our beginning of our interview, that we are a constitutional party to the agreement. Our name was mentioned in the revitalized constitution, the amended constitution, sorry, and also in the revitalized agreement. We are SPLM, so we cannot use our name. Dr. Riek Machar is still member of the SPLM, so how could he rejoin something that you're still part of it?
Okay, thank you. And the next question to come from Francis. Francis asking you that if possible for him, if here is another question also. If Dr. Riek Machar, if not a part of killing Shuluk people, what is his effort in rescuing the main victims, especially children who are still under tree in Maluf town? Any humanitarian being sent to the area? That question comes from Francis Chan.
Okay. We need to put in our mind that Dr. Riek Machar is not the president of the country. Some of these concerns that's raised here that need to be addressed cannot be tackled by His Excellency Dr. Riek Machar alone. It is the responsibility of the revitalized government to tackle them. Regarding the rescue of the refugees or those has been displaced in the war, I can only say that there's an ongoing initiative made by His Excellency Dr. Machar to engage, and last month he has sent a team that hail from the same area, from the side of Shuluk and from the side of Jonglei, to urge the element involved in the conflict to refrain from the violence that's taking place there. And also, I heard from the news somewhere that the President Salva Kiir is the one who's instigating the Cholo rest, where the governor of Upper Nile, who hailed from Cholo, and he is the son of one of the former Cholo kings, is the one who came with the initiative to bring the Cholo king to Juba, because we respect all our special leaders and the king of Cholo, also with the other people of Upper Nile. So we don't want any harm to come to him or to other people of Upper Nile or of Jonglei state, where His Excellency Machar doesn't have the magic stick to change the situation there, since we are not involved, even though we're not part of the problem there, but we're trying to be not the part of the solution, but the whole solution in the area. But some of these issues need to be addressed by the national government, not His Excellency Dr. Machar himself alone. the humanitarian situation, it is all over South Sudan. That is in need the involvement of the national government plus our partners in the UN and the other partners in the humanitarian field. The situation there is very dire, and that needs the involvement of all South Sudanese to put a stop to this conflict in Upper Nile, in all the conflicts all around South Sudan.
Thanks so much, Honorable Pork. That's the question I have. One last question in Clubhouse. Queen, if you can hear my voice, I will give you ask your question, like 2 minutes or less. Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much, Brother Majid, for being here. And thank you, Spokesperson, for being here today with us. We really appreciate you. My question will be really short and brief. I will ask about what happened a week ago between Shilluk and Nuer. I heard that the Shilluk community, they're saying the White Army is belong to Riek Machar. Is that true? And the second thing, what happened between Shilluk and Nuer, they say is a genocide. Now, like almost 400 people are dying from Shilluk community. Is Agwalek have a hand on it, or Riek Machar have a hand on it? That is my question. Thank you. Brother Majid, drop me because I'm driving.
Okay, I will. Thank you. Thank you, Enoch. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Honorable.
Well, the White Army that involved in the conflict in part of Upper Nile and Jonglei, they are not under the SPLM, SPLM-IO. I'd like to be clear here. The involvement of Dr. Machar, the SPLM-IO, or our leader has no any hand in the conflict happening in Upper Nile. And the conflict there, as I mentioned earlier, that it started between the two factions of Kitgwang, the Kitgwang of the Kitgwang of General Garwishwil and the Agwelek forces. They started to fight among themselves, and then the fighting has taken a different turn, which is a tribal targeting and killing. They were targeting themselves. Somewhere that was dropped from the vehicles on the road and being killed. And we're even hearing some incidents that happened. There's a show that has been targeting. What I can say here, all those people that lost their life or have been displaced, they are South Sudanese people, and we condemn all this targeting or killing or the displacement of our people in Upper Nile. We don't have any hand or involvement in this issue. The formation of the SPLM itself, part of it was based on, or part of it was on the backdrop of the atrocity or the genocide occurred here in Juba in December by the militias under command of President Salva Kiir, namely the Baluang and the Matiang Anyor and Tikubay. So we cannot be and we cannot lead the same mentality that we have rebelled against or have rebelled to stop. So we condemn that this incident, and we don't have involvement, and we urge the parties involved in the conflict to immediately stop and to engage on how to settle their differences in a political manner and not to involve civilians in a senseless war or senseless conflict in the time that the people should be focusing how to implement the peace agreement and to bring services to those vulnerable people or the South Sudanese people in Upper Nile and in other areas of the country.
Thank you so much, Honorable Pork. I think we come to an end right now, so there's no more question that I can be asked because we run out of time. Thank you so much for coming to Lake State Media to answer those questions. This is what we want, because the more our politicians, we have to bring them so they can hear from the citizen themselves. And for being said, I'm sending out my invitation to SPLA-IG government to we would bring their member here in this platform to respond or to talk about their side of the story. So this has been said, so I will give this chance back to you, Honorable Puok, to give you to put in your last word before I let you go. Thank you.
I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to you and your team to give us the platform today to educate our people and to answer the question uh, that they're having regarding the political development in the country. And I hope that I was useful to answer all the questions and also to clear this confusion that was created by the step of the SPLM-IG on October 20th onwards regarding the situation or the status of the SPLM. We are the SPLM-IO. We are open. And in the personal note, that I'm open to all the media and to also answer to all the questions regarding the SPLM-IO or the national issues or the issues that pertaining the implementation of the peace agreement in the country. Coming from a media background myself, I know that information is power, and the people have the right, is a constitutional right, to know and to have the information firsthand uh, regarding all concerning our country and our affairs as a nation. I would like to conclude that the SPLA-IO is committed to implement the peace agreement in letter and spirit, bearing in mind that the ARCSIS, it is a transformative document that has all the remedies and solutions for the country or South Sudan as facing now, if we have uh, the political will to implement the peace agreement. And I would like also to urge our partners in the agreement to follow the footsteps of the SPLM-IO to demonstrate their political will and to implement the peace agreement so that we can have a lasting peace in our country, bearing in mind that peace, it is the only conflict that there is no any losing party in it. So let's embark on the putting in our consideration that the issue of the national uh, matters of the national unity and how we can bring together all the people of South Sudan and to those who are still in the refugees to come back to our country and the IDPs to be resettled either within the towns and the capitals or to the origin, the villages of origin and so on and so forth. And also to stop this senseless war and to refrain from uh, 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 coming up with a progressive uh, uh, decision or activities that might take the country back to war. We are open our hands wide to all the initiatives, and we're calling upon the international community and the friends of South Sudan to not forget the people of South Sudan and to help them in the process of the implementation of the peace agreement. And also, I would like to uh, 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 talk about the role of media, and it is very important. The media uh, must be protected and must be given access to information despite of their own origins, whether it's tribal or political affiliation and so on, to reflect to the people of South Sudan what's going on in our country, where this is our right. It's getting late here. I'm still at the office. Thank you once again, and I would like also to thank all the people that interact with us today and those who didn't get a chance. And I believe in the near future that we can sit down and discuss uh, more and more because our country has a lot of things that we can discuss besides the conflict and the war and so on and so forth. We need also to shed light on the positive sides of the country, and through the media and the different various forms of media, we can achieve that, and we can have a lasting peace in our country. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Puok, for a wonderful remark, and thank you for coming to Lake State Media. And we will look forward to bring you back again. And also, before I let you go, I would like to take this message to the first Vice President, Dr. Riek Machar, that that's also the leading diaspora are watching what's going on in our country, and especially what's going on in Upper Nile. It's a heartbreaking. We are sad. We are crying about it. What is happening, what is going on in Chulu Kingdom is really painful. And we're calling all the party, SPLM-IO, SPLM-IG, to do whatever it takes to bring peace in Upper Nile, to bring peace in, and also too, we're calling for White Army to withdraw from the Chulu Kingdom, to go back their origin place. And I hope Dr. Riek Machar and President Salva Kiir and all other peace partner in the country should work hard to bring this to do this, because what we see, the number that people are reporting in social media, even though they're correct or not correct, because even one person die is a big loss to our community and to our people. And the innocent Shilluk people are dying is heartbreaking. And we're supposed to have like to talk from this now until forward, that our leaders should work toward a peace, that the people in the refugees camp, IDF, to go back home instead of more of a IDF or more refugees come. That thing is need to be done. So this is, we people here, we are so heartbreaking about this going on in Chuluk land, and we should need your party with your group to work hard so that they can stop this crisis, because it's going toward and we don't want what happened in Rwanda to come to South Sudan. We don't want to see that. We need peace, and that's what we want. We need peace in our country. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming. Have a wonderful night, and we will see you again. Yeah.
Thank you for having me, and I will make sure your message is
yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, guys. So we are done with some. Yeah.
We want to comment on this document. Give us 30 minutes. We can all clubhouse.
Yeah, go ahead. You guys go ahead with Clubhouse.
Give us
Yeah, go ahead with Clubhouse. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys.
بلنا تعبان من زمان يا ربنا، تعال شوف أيانا بلدنا ما مرتاح، سودان مجاجة ما فرا علينا، جالنا ميتين بيننا ربنا. بلنا تعبان من زمان يا ربنا، تعال شوف أيانا بلدنا ما مرتاح، سودان مجاجة ما فرا علينا، جالنا ميتين بيننا ربنا. يا شعب سودان يا أخوانا شد لكم بلد فيه مشاكل، قلبي ميتين برتا ميتين برتا قلبي ميتين برتا يا جاب سودان يا كوانا جيت لهم بلد فيهم مشاكل قلبي ميتين برتا ميتين برتا قلبي ميتين برتا يا جاب سودان يا كوانا
Thank
جيت
you guys.
لهم
Have a
بلد
good